Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here with episode number 43. Music and language learning will be our topic today. Our goal is to give you some practical language learning hacks with the use of music to help you on your journey to becoming a polyglot or just more proficient in another language. So we hope to give you some useful tips today, and we look forward to sharing our thoughts and ideas about music and language learning. And without further ado, I am here with my fantastic co-host, my buddy Jared. How's it going, Jared?
Hello, or shall I say good morning? A rare morning edition, for me at least. However, a rare also just glowing Chad in the Czech sunlight. It's not a bad start to my day.
I appreciate it.
For pictures of Chad in this beautiful light, when you see his Beer of the Pod review, follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Follow us on Twitter to see some of the songs of the pod, or some of the, what are the other things I post there? Some other things I retweet, some random thoughts, or email us your random thoughts at Untranslatable Podcast. Oh, wait. Did I ever say the Twitter? The Twitter's Untranslatable 1. I don't think I ever said it. or this is why I don't do it in the morning, apparently. Or email us at the Untranslatable Podcast at gmail.com. Tell us your untranslatable phrases. Chad could only find so many Czech untranslatable phrases. I don't know how he does it, but he's going to run out at some sort, and that's when at some time, and that's when he needs people like you.
That's
to come
right.
out there and save the day. Or tell us about some songs that you learned from school, from your language education. I don't think I had many. I don't think I got, because we were trying to think of a song of the pod based off of something that we learned in class, like a song that we heard in class, and I don't think I got much music infused into my language classes.
No Bafu Safu in any of your French classes,
No Bafu Safu.
It's a bummer, man. You would be hyper fluent in French if you would have had some of those tunes in your French classes.
I know, in class, just like shuffling, dun, 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 dun.
Be pretty solid, that's for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that. I'll say this, though. It is a nice, beautiful morning. You know, we got a pretty big snow yesterday in Philadelphia. My ride home doubled in time. It usually takes about 20 minutes. It took 45 minutes, which isn't terrible, but it was noticeably rough in these streets. And the thing about the first snow in any season, Philadelphia, I mean, it doesn't get as much snow as Michigan, but they're more than used to snow. It's not a foreign object here. And it seems like people always forget how to drive on the first snow.
Yep.
People
see a lot of accidents.
There was a street where there were no exaggeration, at least 6 buses, maybe more. I think I'm lowballing, and a semi truck just stopped in this one spot, just blocking an entire section of street. And I was just like, what's happening here? I was like, but there's winter here all the time. And all of a sudden, these buses are inoperational on this slight incline. It's like, then how does it work all these other years when it snows? Like, does this happen yearly?
I guess they didn't get their new snow tires on their buses fast enough.
And then when I was leaving work, me and my coworker were laughing because there's this dude that people in Philadelphia take terrible care of their cars. And there's this dude that just must have been the baldest of tires because you just heard that it was this front wheel drive just roasting the tires, going nowhere, and it was just like this high pitched whining from the tires, like spinning. Like his tires were going like 40 miles per hour. He was going, his actual movement was like 3 miles per hour.
I believe.
And so Brad, my the silent but annoying person in the background of some of our podcasts, was supposed to come visit this weekend. However, his flight got delayed, then canceled because of I assume because of weather. I don't really know. However, I will say this. But it's funny too how it snows when it snows here. What I've noticed about snows like this that happen in Philadelphia is that they'll have these big snows, but they'll be like kind of like wet, and then like the streets will be cleared like a couple hours after it snows. Mostly just because the weather is always like it's usually like around like the 30s, so it's not super cold and it's wet stuff. So it's like. But it's bad, but then by the time it's over, it's like fine a couple hours later, and the streets are essentially clear again. So anyway, his flight got canceled, and because his flight was on Frontier, and Frontier says
many fregista.
It wasn't until today is Friday, by the way. It wasn't until Saturday that they had their next flight to. He was flying into Trenton, which is in New Jersey, about 40 minutes away, that the next flight was coming in. And at that point, it was kind of pointless because he's leaving on Sunday. It's like, well, there's no point if you're just going to come for a night. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he just had to, we just had to pass on the trip, and we'll have to do it another time. But I took a day off from work, so now I just have, I guess, a me day because there's no point of me being like, "Hey, can I take this day from work, like day off back, and just come in?"
Right. Hey, sometimes
I don't mind working.
I just
thought I'd be hanging out with my friend.
Right. Well, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean,
yeah,
man, airlines sometimes can be the worst. My girlfriend.
I try not to blame them because I don't know the full story, but I've had plenty of bad stories to. Anyway, what were you about to say about your girlfriend?
My girlfriend had a conference out in San Diego this last week, and she left Detroit DTW airport the day that one of the first snowfalls in Michigan happened, and it turned out that her one flight got delayed, and then her connecting flight, she only had a 20-minute layover. So it was a hot mess. Eventually, she figured it out. Yeah, that's exactly what.
Whenever
I
see like a 30-minute layover or something like that, I'm like, oh crap. Because first of all, to begin with, it takes at least 10 minutes to get land and get off the plane. At least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Yeah, and so airlines sometimes. I mean, it's great that you can fly these long distances, but yeah, depending on the weather, sometimes you can really come into some difficulties. And I remember when we studied abroad in Austria, I only had an hour layover from Frankfurt to Vienna.
And you had to go through customs?
Yeah, and let me tell you, that was real tight.
I'm turning myself down a little bit. I think my layover, I think that was the same for me, but I was in Amsterdam, I believe, and it was also an hour. And I was like, but luckily, if you usually the customs, I've never really been in a long customs line. Usually the longest customs lines I have are actually probably coming back to America.
I would agree with that, yeah.
But like whenever I've gone abroad, customs has usually been pretty quick. When I was in Tanzania, well, I told you this, but like when I flew to Tanzania, it almost felt like I could have just it felt like just a domestic flight, like just with a slight stop, like a extra 10-minute line at the longest 10-minute line on the other side, but probably even less than that.
Yeah, I would actually agree 100%. I've had more issues with customs coming back to the United States,
to our own country.
Yep. Yeah, in Europe, they're just like, especially if I land in Frankfurt and I speak German with them.
Yeah.
Except this time when I came to the Czech Republic, maybe because it was early in the morning and the guy seemed really friendly, but he was asking me a couple more questions than usual. But they were like not questions based on what I would think a customs officer would ask you. Like, I said to him, Guten Morgen, good morning, for our non-German listeners out there, and he replied, and then he saw my passport and he saw that I was American, and he said, why do you speak German? And so
why is that so shocking to him? He works in customs. Doesn't he see people speaking all sorts of languages all the time?
Probably, but I'm sure Americans are sadly fairly low on the totem pole with foreign language proficiency.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting. That's for sure. Airlines and all that in general.
So we talk a lot about we've talked a lot about people getting Cornerstone Carolines,
Yep.
permit patties. I don't know if this one has a name. I'm gonna call her Professor Pat. And I'll
Professor
explain why.
Patricia? Is it a man or a woman?
It's a woman.
Okay.
So in San Antonio, at the University of Texas at San Antonio, they're investigating a video showing San Antonio officers escorting a student out of a classroom after a professor allegedly called them on her for having her feet propped up on a chair. Twitter user Apurva Rawal posted a video of the incident Monday afternoon. So this happened today in class. A girl had her feet up, and the professor called the police after calling our class uncivil. He went to say that biology professor Anita Moss had called officers to escort her out. Anyway, so I want to say this. The class before this, professor went on a whole tirade about how uncivil we all were because a few students were on their phones or not paying attention, cutting lecture time for the rest of us because her ego was bruised. As upset as I am that my professor decided to throw a temper tantrum, the lecture before an exam and cancel class, I'm even more outraged that she would decide to single out and humiliate a student just to flex her authority in a destructive manner. And there's more, but essentially, and so after the cops were called on her, she got escorted out. Some students stuck up for her, so early shout out to them, by the way. But
that's so sad in so many ways.
By the way, guess the race of the girl that happened to have her feet up.
I'm assuming black.
Of course.
Right. Well, first of all, there's a lot of problems with this, and obviously we don't know the full story. But first of all, how sad is it that you're a professor and you have to call the police? Like,
that's why I wanted to bring this one up especially.
Right. Like, you can't.
I want your opinion on this as someone that manages.
Exactly.
Classes.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was just about to literally say the sentence as someone who is, responsible for teaching classes with kids, usually I have anywhere from 15 to 30 students in my classes, which, even if it's a bigger lecture, it still doesn't matter. First of all, I'm going to go kind of as hypocritical as this is. I'm going to go on a little tirade now about this professor's tirade. So first of all, you should never, take away learning opportunities from your students because your feelings are hurt or your ego is bruised. Like, the fact that students weren't paying attention, they were on the phones. It's like, well, first of all, Professor Patty, you need to maybe have an exciting enough lecture to keep your students' attention and you know what? If obviously I prefer students to not be on their cell phones in my class, and I try to teach classes that are fun and engaging and get the students moving and talking and everything. Obviously, it's a little different atmosphere when you're in a lecture hall with college students, but still, kids are always going to be on their phones. That doesn't necessarily mean they're uncivil. It just means they're bored or you're not doing a good enough job lecturing them, in my opinion. Two, why? That's ridiculous. You would cancel a class because you think students aren't being very civil. And three, shame on you for having to get the authorities involved. You don't have enough authority in your own classroom. If it would have been my classroom, I would have just kicked them out of the classroom. I would have given them a warning. Put your feet down. That's rude. That's disrespectful. Nobody wants to see your stanky ass feet, Yeah. And then if I couldn't do that, then I'd be like, all right, pack up your shit and leave my classroom. Because, my uncle was a biology teacher in Alaska, and apparently he used to, really, like, if kids were goofing off and he gave them a warning and they wouldn't listen, he'd just say, well, you're ruining everybody else's educational opportunities here. You need to just leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the appropriate way to handle it. There's no reason why you need to call the police. I don't care what the ethnicity of the student is.
Right.
I don't care if they're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I know, but all I want to say is that like I can't help but think like coincidence. I think not on that it just happens to be a black person that like
Right.
made you like feel like you really needed to flex your authority.
And I also, dear white people, well, first of all, I love that show on Netflix. But second of all, dear white people, please stop calling police, the cops on black people when they're, when they're just doing normal people things. I mean,
I also want to kind of say shame on the cops too for even dignifying. Not the fact. I mean, I understand that maybe they showed up. They don't know what they didn't really. Maybe they didn't know what to fully expect.
right.
But they actually did then ask her, the student, to leave. And I think that's like it's like what law is she breaking right now?
Right.
It's like yeah, this might not be how you want to conduct a class, and this you might not want her in your class, which is fine. But it's like that's no excuse. Like she's not breaking a law. That's you.
Right.
It's just like now it's for you to have control of your students and be like, get out of here. This is not how I want my class to be run, which is a completely legitimate thing to say to someone that has their feet up in class.
But
if
you
don't
don't
like
need to
that,
call
you
the
give them a warning.
police. Exactly. Yeah, there's no reason
And
to
the
get the police
fact that
involved.
the cops don't like say like let's go, but they're like they seem like they were at least like, hey, come on, let's it seems like you should get out of here. But it's like, why are you even dignifying that by even being like, what
Right.
laws, like we enforce the law. We are law enforcement. What law
Right.
are we enforcing right now?
And the other problem with that too is I'm sure the police officers probably had potentially more important things to be doing
yeah,
than
of course,
to
of
than
course.
to micromanage a classroom their professor couldn't
They're
manage
not, yeah.
herself.
They're not like, and don't you have like, I mean, it's a school. There are also like deans of discipline and deans of blah blah
Right.
student body that are specifically set up to address student issues. It's like, how is it that you just call the cops? Why is that your? It's just such an odd instinct.
And sadly it's a very white people versus black people instinct, I think.
Yeah, it's like
you see it a lot.
stick the cops on us.
Right, which
It's
is
like, we know that you can't. What are you gonna do about that?
right. Yeah, it's really
But
messed
it's
up.
also, to me, it's also kind of a weird, like, it also kind of shows like the ignorance of people that deny that, like, the police brutality and stuff like that, because it's almost like what you're doing when you're like sticking the cops on black people.
Right.
And you use it as like your baby. You use them like as your babysitters.
Right.
Yet, it's because like that's the one, like, oh, you there's nothing, you're gonna, the one people like group that you'll either like stand down to, or they'll show you,
Right.
somehow, yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's really messed up, man. I can never imagine. I think the only time ever in my teaching career when I would ever even think about calling the police is if there's an active shooter situation or one of my students stabs me or another student. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
It's got to be really
if laws
dire.
are being broken,
Right. If your feet are on the desk, I'm going to tell you to put your feet down, but I'm not going to call the
and if you
police on
don't, then say, all right, if you're not going to do it, then get out of my class. And I
Right.
think that the student would probably be fine to get out of the class. I feel like that should not. Yeah, and even still, if the student doesn't, then the cops. Then you probably go to, as I said, some sort of dean of whatever, which is still
Right.
ridiculous if it even goes to that level. But
Right.
then it's probably on the student at that point.
Well,
if it's going to that
I
level.
would say it's not ridiculous if they give them numerous warnings and they don't
Right.
listen.
I was
But
going
if
to
it's
say,
a
then at that
one-time
point,
thing,
yeah. At that point, it's ridiculous on the student. But yeah.
that's so crazy, man. Oh man.
This is the world. This is the world we live in. I mean, it's the world we've lived in, but it's still the world we live in.
Right.
And that's why I kind of still sometimes am pessimistic, because it's like people like live in this blissful ignorance of reality.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and a lot of, and I really hope our podcast can enlighten some of our white listeners out there. I'm not trying to say I know everything. I would like to think I'm somewhat woke.
You didn't
But
even know what
I've-
minstrel shows were.
but-
I was shocked.
That's true. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of white people need to think a little bit more critically before they do things like call the cops on innocent black people. I mean, if you're having a barbecue with your family, you probably shouldn't have to, have the police come. If you're a kid selling water bottles,
Right.
you probably shouldn't. How many white kids? I mean, I grew up in a
Lemonade
neighborhood.
stands.
Yeah,
it's a
lemonade
trope. It's a cliche at this point.
Right. And I've literally seen police officers drive and stop at a lemonade stand and
honestly,
buy lemonade.
Of course. And honestly,
Yeah.
I'd rather get a bottle of water than lemonade. At least a bottle of water is a sealed product. Who knows where those grubby kids' hands have been with that lemonade that they made.
I mean, water is probably a lot healthier for you as well.
Exactly. It's healthier and cleaner.
Yeah, interesting. That's interesting. That's so crazy, man. I'm glad you told me about that story.
Yeah.
But
Have you seen or like have there been like mutterings of like, oh, blah blah blah, like when you're in teaching where it's like blah blah blah, lost control of their class, or have you ever lost control or had to like really flex on a class?
I mean, I've never had to flex at that level.
I just imagine you just like
yes,
ripping
officer.
off your shirt. Hey,
Oh man,
you're messing with the wrong one.
Well, I
Sit the fuck down or get out.
I thankfully haven't had to flex too hard on my students. Most of them listen, but what I've noticed actually the last 2 or 3 weeks, I may have mentioned this on the podcast, but I've been having throat problems, and I thought I was catching a cold or maybe it was
I
just
remember
weather change.
our first attempt at a start at this podcast.
Well, that was because the
you
water went
coughing.
down the wrong pipe, but that's a different story. But yeah, so I have been losing my voice the last few weeks, and I realize it's always on the weekends when my throat is scratchy. And what I realized was, 1, I'm talking too loud in class. 2, I'm trying to talk over my students. And 3, I think I'm just talking too much, which, as we've discussed in other episodes in our podcast, really a language teacher should be talking about 30% of the time, and you should be getting your students to talk 70% of the time. However, if I'm giving a presentation on something, obviously the numbers will be, the percentage will be a little different. But anyways, so what I've been doing now, I wouldn't really call it flexing on my students, but what I've been doing now is when my students are talking, while I'm talking, I just stop talking. Mm-hmm. And I'll usually do the teacher, make eye contact with them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Stop talking.
I've seen that move before.
Yeah, and it works really well. It works a lot better than me trying to talk over them. I don't lose my voice. If I talk over them, other students may see that I'm talking over them and think, okay, well, if we're talking, we can just keep talking and he'll just, say it louder.
Right.
So another thing I'll do,
like if they think they're whispering or you're not noticing that they're talking or something, it's like, oh, okay, then we can just keep going because he's still going.
Exactly.
And it sounds like you're in a restaurant.
right. Exactly. And I mean, my classes, I have to admit, my classes get very talkative, which is good. I'm their speaking and listening teacher. So it's great for me when they are all talking. And usually I hear a lot of English and not very much Czech, which is really great. So shout out to all of my awesome students out there. But one thing that I'll do also to flex on them a little bit is if I have... if we do something with the whole class and then I ask a few students to give me answers, if there are other students talking in the back, I'll immediately say, what did John say? And they never know. And so, that's one thing I do. One of my colleagues, she's at a different school here in the Czech Republic. She teaches younger students, and she does the little silent coyote. And the students, I guess, really loved it. They thought it was really cool and funny and started to do that.
What's that? I mean, I saw what you just did, but I've never heard
the silent
it
coyote,
before.
it's like if you do the rock-on symbol,
right,
with your pinky and your index finger up, and then you bring your thumb and your ring and middle finger together. It looks kind of like a fox or a coyote.
And they call that a silent coyote?
Silent coyote. And in Germany, they do this too, and they call it the Schweigefuchs, the silent fox.
Oh, okay. Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's usually used more so for kids. And then, of course, you have the classic teacher,
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then
how old are these kids, though? I feel like that's
I mean,
for
I don't do
younger
that
kids.
with my kids. They're too old. I probably could. I've seen other teachers clap, though, and it will make the students be quiet. But
I don't think I would respond to that past, 12.
Right.
10, maybe.
Right. One of the craziest things I've ever seen a teacher do, though, is I was in my AP history class in high school, and it was, I think, first or second hour, so it was fairly early in the morning. We had this one kid who would always sleep in class, and so our teacher trying to be resourceful, moved this student to the very front of the class, thinking if they're in the front row, they won't fall asleep. Well, what ended up happening was they just fell asleep, and the teacher could see them blatantly.
Right.
So he got really
Fregista.
Exactly. One day, the straw had broken the proverbial teacher or camel's back, and he threw our heavy ass American history textbook on the desk. Thankfully, he didn't hit the student. He chipped off a corner of the desk, though. And these were like those, not a wooden desk, but like those, I don't know what they really are. It feels kind of like, not stone, but you know what I mean? Like it's hard material. And he broke the corner off that sucker. It was crazy.
So he didn't just drop it, he slammed it
threw
down.
Yeah, he threw it. I mean, yeah, like over.
Ooh,
over
that
his
is not a
shoulder,
fun way to wake up.
No. But yeah, so you never
I mean,
know.
but that is also like you now being a teacher. That's a place you hope you never get to, I would assume.
Oh, for sure, definitely.
It's like if you've gotten to that point, it's like. But I mean, have you had a lot of sleepers?
Not really. And if I notice that a couple students in class are falling asleep, usually what I'll do is I have a couple just random games that I can are no preparation games I can just throw in my lessons. So if I see that kids are falling asleep, I get them to get up and move around, and that usually helps. I mean, usually as well, my classes, they're doing a lot of talking. So it's hard to sleep when you're being talked to or talking to someone.
Right. I used to in college, from time to time I was a sleeper. From time to time. There was one time in Austria when we were studying abroad. I had a 3-hour class called
That was your finance class, right?
No,
The
that was a
Hungarian
different
guy?
one.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was finance. I don't even remember what the fuck the class was. I believe it was financial economics of the pre-Soviet era Russia or not Russia, Soviet Union. So like Soviet Union pre-fall of communism. And it was this old Hungarian guy that lectured for 3 hours with minimal conversation. There was some, but minimal. A lot of lecturing. And so I had a couple classes in the morning, and then I had, a 2-hour break in between, and then that class for 3 hours. And so I didn't want to go back home, because by the time I got home, I just had to turn right back around. Right. So me and one of my classmates, Harry, I don't know if you remember him.
I remember Harry, yeah.
We went to go get lunch somewhere, and we went to, it was like, well, we have 2 hours. Let's go to a place where we can actually sit down. And so there was a place around the corner. I don't remember what it was called, but it was around the corner from our school. And we split a pitcher of beer because
was it 15-16?
No, it wasn't 15-16.
Okay.
But it was like right down the street from there.
Okay.
But we split a pitcher of beer because that's what you do when you study abroad and you're eating lunch.
Right.
And I didn't get drunk, but it definitely did not mix well with the lecturing style of my old Hungarian teacher. And I had one of those situations where it was just like that, where it's I'll explain what I'm doing, where it's just like
your head slowly starts to drop kind of towards your chest, and then you'll get the little ope, and your head will kind of spring back up, and then your head will drop again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is the worst.
And then it never comes back. And then the head never comes back up. Yeah. And then when the head eventually did come back up, which I think was I don't know how long it was, but it was definitely a notable amount of time. I looked up and all I saw was the Hungarian guy just staring at me. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, yes, you are. He did not.
My mistake.
That was
my
rough.
mistake
That was a rough class.
is I'll go from sitting and I'll have my arms crossed over my desk. Then I'll have my hands on my chin.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually it'll go to me with my head.
Yeah, with your head down.
Yeah, just down, and then it's lights out.
I see, because I know when I'm tired, so I know better than to actually put my head down. I would never put my head down, but that's how I always end up sleeping, just like with the neck drop. Like where it's like I'm just look like I'm praying or something.
Right. That neck drop is dangerous though. Like it It hurts if you.
It does
if you're
hurt.
really tired and your head just drops.
Oh, my head never actually falls to the table. Like I can usually just
Mine doesn't
dangle my
either,
head.
but it'll like.
And
still-
if anything, it more hurts your neck just to
Well, yeah,
dangle your neck
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good for you. That's for sure. Well, shout out to all of our students out there that can stay awake in classes, and a big thumbs down.
It was
to
a
Professor
3-hour
Patty.
class about financial economics in a specific era, like 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago.
I wouldn't have lasted 20 minutes in that lecture. Not at all. Not
was
even
rough.
Close.
It
Not
was
even
rough.
Close. Well, dude,
lot of reading.
I have some good news. I feel a little weird bragging about it because I don't really think it's brag worthy, but I have come up with a new workout plan and have been hitting the gym it'll be 5 days this week.
Nice. Where's the gym again? I remember
At
you
my
saying
school.
Convenient. Oh, okay.
At
right.
my school, literally in the basement.
What kind of
Just-
setup do they have?
They got a couple machines. They have a hack squat machine, which is where it's like you put your back up to a mattress, not a mattress, but like a padded thing, and it's got like another padded area for your shoulders.
Right.
Then they have a hamstring curl and a quadriceps curl machine.
Do they have showers there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
They got showers.
Is
Although
that like
I've-
a common thing to offer that at jobs in Czech Republic? Like, is that a
gym and a shower? Probably not.
Okay.
I think most schools, yeah, because they have gym class.
Okay.
But
Is it this? So are you using the same gym that the students would use?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you ever see students in there?
I go from pretty much 5 to 6 every day,
Oh, so everyone's gone.
and everyone's gone. It's beautiful, but it's a little creepy now because it gets dark at like
yeah.
4:30 or 5, and
But
they
you-
shut the lights off at my school.
But you always have it to yourself?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
So you can do you bring like Bluetooth speakers?
I have a little Bluetooth speaker with me, but the reason why I don't is there's usually some type of like class in the weight room, is a closed off area where you can shut the door, right? Mm-hmm. And then so you have the basketball court / hardwood floor, and then where the wall is, that's where the weight room is. And so every night when I leave the gym, there's usually some type of class. One night there was like a women's aerobics class. There were
So
actually
you still
some,
need to have some sort of awareness of other people. You can't just
right.
let loose.
I can't
completely.
blast my metal music in the weight room. I can just with headphones on, but
Right.
but it's very minimal, and some of the machines are a little bit old. So I was trying to do I was doing an arm workout the other day, and I was trying to do, they call it a preacher curl, where it's like your arms are on like this inclined like pad, and then the thing you grab from the bottom, and you kind of curl up like this, right? Well, this cable was so old and so hard to, like, you just couldn't get smooth movement going.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really like uneven in terms of the resistance when you were pulling versus releasing. And so then I was like, all right, well, this band is a little bit old. I'm just going to use dumbbells. And so that's
How do you
what I
feel
did.
about kettlebells?
Oh, they're great. I think they're fantastic. They're really, really versatile. We don't have any kettlebells at the school. I wish we did. Kettlebell swings are really nice. I mean, really, if you wanted to build, if I were to build a small like gym in my garage or something, if I had a garage, I would definitely have kettlebells there. I think I would only need about 2 or 3 things in my hypothetical garage gym. I would need kettlebells, one standard Olympic size bar for squats, bench press, shoulder press, things like that. And then probably a set of dumbbells and also a power rack, which is the rack where you can do squats, you can do bench press, and you have the bars there to protect you. So if you work out by yourself and you try heavier weight, it won't be stuck on your chest and you won't die in the gym.
Excuse me. I assume you follow The Rock on Instagram.
Oh yeah, of course.
Have you seen his mobile gym?
It's crazy.
His mobile
awesome.
gym is like the size of like a small to medium sized like normal
regular
gym.
Yeah.
And that's just like wherever he travels, he requires to have this full gym setup.
Which is awesome.
It is insane.
If
I mean, granted,
if I were an actor like that, I would totally do the same thing. I love because now the school gym has become kind of my after school sanctuary.
right.
You know, like obviously I feel very comfortable at my apartment. When I come here, I can play my guitar.
Your
or
third
just
spot.
relax. Oh shit. You're right.
go.
That is my third spot, the school
There you go.
gym. Well, you heard it here first, people. Yeah, so that's my sanctuary, and it's great. I mean, I have a key to it, so I can go whenever I want.
Oh, that's nice.
So I usually just go
How
5
far
to
away
6.
is the school?
It's like
pretty close, isn't it?
It's really close. I mean, it's like if I'm really booking it, I'd say I could get there in probably 6 minutes. Usually
okay.
it takes me
Yeah,
about a
that's
10-minute
nothing.
walk. Yeah.
Oh, that's nothing.
And yes, so it was really funny. I only
So you
brought
could go at like, so you could go at like 8 o'clock if you wanted.
Yeah, I could go at midnight if I felt like it.
Oh, okay.
I could go at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. If I was The Rock, I would go, I think he wakes up at like 4:30
Well, if you were The
a.m..
Rock, you'd have a mobile gym.
That's also true. If I was
You'd
The
have-
Rock,
you'd
I
have a
probably
gym
wouldn't be an
at
English
home.
teacher either. Right.
And you'd have like a extension onto the school just for you. That's your mobile.
Exactly.
Even though they're 10 minutes away from each other.
Right. But yeah, so
And sprint back and forth between the two.
yeah, exactly. It's really nice. And you know, it's got everything I need. Like there's a few things I wish the gym had. Like for example, I wish it had a power rack. It's like an old little rack where you can rest like a bar on for like bench press, but it seems a little old, and the threading on the little things to fasten it seem a little shot. And so I'm not sure if I were to move it up to have it higher for squats, if it would stay there, if it would fall down on me. So one thing I think would be a power rack
Sounds like
would
they
be
could
nice.
use sounds like they bought these things used when they opened the school.
Well, I would guess based on the way the equipment looks, it's been fairly well taken care of, but I would imagine most of the equipment's got to be at least 20 years old.
Sounds like it.
I would say somewhere around there. Also, I feel like a weakling because it's all in kilos, so it's half of the numbers that I'm used to seeing in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, yeah. So you have to like do those conversions in your
Yep.
head.
I basically technically it's 2.2 if you have kilos to pounds. I just go by 2. and
Or
just go
isn't
from
it
there.
easier just to go off of kilos in general?
I mean, now that's what I've been doing since I know.
Right.
where
Instead of
my
trying to
weights are at.
convert it, just do it off of kilos.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But it was funny though, when I started working out, I realized I only brought one pair of sweatpants here with me. And those are kind of my chill at my apartment pants. So I wasn't trying to get those all nasty from, sweat and rolling around the gym floor.
And you vowed to buy nothing while in Czech Republic.
Yeah,
so.
I broke that rule too early on. That's for sure. That was an epic fail. How naive of me.
I
to
just
think
laughed.
that.
I mean, listeners can go back and listen to you saying that.
Oh, there's proof.
And I just thought that was the funniest idea. It's like, first of all, I know you, but also that's the most. Who can do that in general?
Right.
Even if
it's tough. It's very tough. But also it didn't help that early on I was talking to my parents and they were just like, yeah, just buy another big suitcase.
And also, they could take some stuff back for you when they come visit you.
Actually, I already have a pile of clothes that I'm having them take back for me because I just
Yeah.
haven't worn them very much. But anyways, so I needed a new pair of sweatpants, right? And so I went to Lidl, which is a grocery store here, and they sell clothing, groceries, and everything. And they didn't have any sweatpants. All they had were like kind of like tights or yoga pants for men, which I brought a pair of those with me to like if I'm running outside. Let's be real, I don't really run. I use them. I use them. I use them usually when I do deadlifts, so I don't scrape up my shins too bad from the bar. But anyways, I needed a pair of sweatpants. I found these pair of like work pants they're called. They literally said thermal work pants, and so they have like a fleece lining. And I bought them in my waist size, but apparently dudes here who work construction must have giant ass thighs and calves because these things look almost like parachute pants, and they drag on the floor. And so I thought, okay, I only paid I think 250 crowns for them, so I didn't pay a lot of money for them.
$10.
So I thought, Yeah. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to see if I can find some actual sweatpants with pockets in them. And I was walking home yesterday from work, and there's this really cool little family-owned sports shop here in Chomutov called D-Sport. Actually, I have the bag right next to me. D-Sport is what it's called. And I was looking around, and I'm
a master at D-Sport, by the way. Professional level D-Sport player.
That's right. Exactly. We're both ambassadors here at the Untranslatable podcast for D-Sport. But anyways, it was really funny. I was looking around, and I didn't know the Czech word for sweatpants. I still don't. And so this woman came up to try to help me, and I don't know if they were just her coworkers or her children, but I think it's family owned, and I think they were her kids because they also looked kind of similar. And I said sweatpants, and the one kid translated it really quick in a Czech, and she showed me. And they had, like, not really sweatpants, but like Adidas kind of soccer pants that had pockets. And I was like, once it gets cold here in the winter, I don't know if those are really going to do me that much good. And then, of course, I turned the corner, and they had a small section of Jordan stuff. And they had a dope Jordan hoodie and a dope pair of Jordan sweatpants. And so I went and caught me some Jordans. They were a little bit too expensive.
Is it like a set? So like a matching hoodie and sweatpants?
Yep. They're black with a gray Jumpman on them. And they're this like really cool thermal fleece.
You're going to make a great old man.
I know, right? That's my goal, Jared. That's my goal. But
I just imagine you wearing the full set. That just seems like
I wore it yesterday to the gym. I felt like a badass. Had my black Jordan fleece pants and fleece hoodie on.
Were you wearing Jordan shoes as well?
No, I had my Adidas Sambas on.
Man.
I mean, I have a pair of Jordans here with me. I could have done it.
You can't do that. You can't match brands like that.
I did it.
Especially if you have the Jordans to round out the full set.
Well, I did it, Jared. What are you going to do about it?
You have it.
Yeah, but the Jordans I have aren't. I did a weird muscle grouping yesterday. I did legs and chest.
Right, you can't work out. Those aren't for working out.
I mean, no, you could work out in them, but I was doing legs, and the way the soles are designed, I don't think it'd be good for squats.
Okay.
Those Sambas got that flat sole. It's perfect. So that's my justification.
All right.
But anyway, shout out to D-Sport for the comfy Jordan workout fleece pants and hoodie. That's going to make working out in the winter so much easier. And now I think it's time we move on.
Sport of the Untranslatable podcast.
That's right.
D-Sport.
D-Sport, exactly. And now I'd like to give 2 shout-outs today. The first one, I have to ask you, Jared, have you seen this video of this kid who was speaking 12 different languages to tourists?
No.
So there was a...
Can I look it up and play a little bit of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Yeah, so basically, to give our listeners the backstory...
What's it called? Can you tell me what it's called?
You could just look up child speaks 12 languages to sell to tourists or something like that. But yeah, so this Cambodian child named, I believe it's Tokskin is his name. He went viral after someone showed him chatting to tourists, and he was using, I think, 12 different languages. Yeah. Speaking at least 12 languages and dialects. I thought he was about 12 years old, but I'm not sure how old he is.
I have the YouTube video, so I don't know how old he is yet. Maybe, but I can... Do I need to turn it up?
I can hear it fine.
Okay.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
Si.
Wow.
Oui. Boleh ang 5 yen, madang ang puang dola.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just so let me explain what we're looking at. First of all, he's speaking Cantonese so far, French, I believe I'm forgetting, Japanese right now, and it's just a little Cambodian boy walking down the street, and it looks like he sells stuff to tourists is what he does, just like, kind of cheap touristy stuff.
Right.
And Japanese, Mandarin. It's I mean, I guess he knows he lives in a tourist area. He's speaking Thai now. And it's like, well, if I'm going to sell this stuff, the best way to do it is to be able to speak to as many people as possible.
Right.
and he probably just learns. You know, he probably just knows like the most common tourists because probably a lot of French people. He's speaking Thai right now. Please buy one from me.
Right.
It's insane. Five
It's
for
really
$2.
crazy to watch him though. But apparently, he said he wants to study in Beijing, and he went viral, and he's actually going to star on Chinese TV.
Nice.
So shout out to him. I believe his name is Toxkin.
Yeah, this video does not have his name, but I can probably still find it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Toxkin, or Thaksin. But yeah, so I think that's really amazing. Shout out to you.
Oh, he was speaking Cantonese, Mandarin, English, Thai, Japanese, Korean, French, and Spanish.
Yeah, so
those were the
really,
language that they showed in the video. At least.
Right. So big shout out to you, little guy. Keep up the good work. Here at the Untranslatable podcast, we really value and appreciate our people out here who embrace other languages and cultures. Well, I don't know if I'd consider myself a polyglot yet. He might be a couple rings ahead of us.
Comparing ourselves to this kid that's just rambling through a bunch of different languages like it's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but that is I mean, he's I'm not even exaggerating. He's kind of an inspiration.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's really amazing, and seems like he's really hustling.
Yeah.
You know, so shout out to you. Keep on
yeah,
hustling.
And as we, at least I've mentioned a lot of times, it's like the best way to learn language is through necessity, and it also makes me think of him that he's potentially got some like businessman in him, you know, where it's like
sure.
you have to, like you can't, like your parents can't make you do this. Like even if they like say learn languages, like they still can't force you to do this. Like you have to have that sort of proactivity on your own.
Right. You got to have that fire within you to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think now that people have found this kid and that, you know, the people are wanting to give him shots and stuff, I bet you this kid can do a lot.
I'm sure he can. And we wish you a prosperous and bright future, young man. That is for sure.
Come
My
on the
second,
Untranslatable podcast.
That's right. That's right. Flex your polyglottism for all of our listeners. We would love it. Okay. So my last shout out for today, sometimes when possible, I try to find a country. And today I would like to give a shout out to the Republic of Congo, who now have just named a new national park, which is home to gorillas and elephants. So the new Ogooué Lekedi National Park is the Republic of Congo's 5th national park. It borders the Pateke Plateau National Park in neighboring Gabon, and together the two parks form a transboundary protected area covering more than, for our metric listeners out there, 5,500 square kilometers, or for our imperial people out there, 2,120 square miles.
Nice.
So I think that's great.
I've actually got a shout out as well.
Nice. Go for it.
So have you heard of a boy named Jordan Blue?
No.
So a photo showing was taken showing a group of Baraboo, Wisconsin high school boys.
Oh, yes. I do know who you're talking about, but continue.
From the class of 2019 giving they say stiff arm Nazi salute. Some of them were, but some of them were giving these limp ass Nazi salutes. A Nazi salute nonetheless. I'm not.
Right.
But prior to this past spring prom, by the way, it was in spring, so it's weird that this is just coming up now as well. To this past spring's prom is generating outrage online and has prompted an investigation by the What's an investigation, by the way? But I didn't realize that it was also in spring and that this just came up. So these kids have been going on with their life.
And it's a while now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, shit. So the photo taken on the Sauk County Courthouse steps includes about 50 students. Though not all are holding their arms outstretched, the photo has resurfaced and gone viral, sparking questions on social media about the school's culture and bringing international attention to the 3,000-student school district. So it was just a bunch of dudes in front of this, wearing like their little prom tuxedos. and a lot of them were were laughing or cracking, had like these looks on their face, and had either full on Nazi salutes or, as I said, some sort of limp wristed Nazi salute. Some of them, but there was one, and some of them didn't. But there was one very specific guy that stuck out even more because he was like kind of clear in the background, Jordan Blue, and he had like this clear sort of look of disdain on his face, and his hands were by his side, and he sort of had his own little mini viralness, if you want to say that. I hate even putting that connotation on someone that was just trying to like stick up for basic decency, but like he just stood there and he said that he essentially, what did he say? Oh, it was very upsetting to me. He said it was very disrespectful to what my beliefs are, and it was very bad. It was a very bad representation of our senior class in the Baraboo school district. Because by all means, the Baraboo School District does not support that kind of attention, and it's a district that provides many opportunities for the students. So I'll say this. Very great statement. It's a prepared statement. But it's interesting to me that there's a picture of about 50 people in this picture, and let me look at it. I have it here. And if I zoom in, I'd say 85 to 90% of the, say, 50 people in this picture are Nazi saluting. And it's just shocking to me how many people don't realize in 2018, the implication of having these pictures taken of yourself. It makes no sense to me.
And once it's online, it never goes away.
Because even if, and that's the only reason I make the point to say that this is a prepared statement, because it doesn't, it was well said, but all you have to have is the slightest sort of awareness in the moment to be like, I don't want this picture of me online. Are you crazy?
Right. And weren't there also a couple kids that, like, I know, obviously.
There's a black dude there, too, by the way.
Yeah,
but I don't think his hand's up. To be fair,
I thought they said
but he's laughing
because I read an article about it as well. I thought they were kind of happy or proud that they got a black guy to do the salute.
Maybe, to be honest, from the angle, I can't tell if his hand's up or not.
Okay,
because the guy in front of him could be blocking if his hand's up, so I can't fully tell. But yeah, of course they're proud to get a black guy to do it.
I just don't understand why anyone would think that is funny.
What's the joke? I don't understand. Where's the joke?
Whatever happened to just doing bunny ears to the person in front of you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is and
to be fair, but I think bunny ears is about just as funny as people doing the Nazi salute at this point.
Okay, but it's not nearly as offensive.
Less offensive though.
But yeah,
that's true. And I kind of have a bonus shout out on top of that. So I'll give one to Jordan Blue because he sticks out. But there are a couple other people. Shout out to those people, Jordan Blue and those people that that at least had the decency to and this is honestly the lowest level of shout out, having the decency not to give a Nazi salute when you're having a picture taken in front of you,
right?
Picture taken of you, excuse me. And then sort of a bonus shout out on top of that, two Baraboo residents who I believe also are parents in the school district, Stephanie Shanks and Sherry Schaff, excuse me, responded to the outcry by organizing a rally for unity Tuesday afternoon at the same courthouse steps where the offensive photo was taken. Nearly 100 people chanted against hate and brandished signs advocating love and peace. So I thought that was great too. So
that's awesome.
Took something shitty and turned it positive.
And that's what we need to do, especially in times like these, for sure.
I mean, that's all you can do at that point, I guess.
Right.
It's already happened.
Right. And if you can't make it positive, what you can do is enjoy a tasty beverage to wallow in your sorrows. So I think it's time we do our beer review of the pod. I have a new Czech beer that I have not tried yet. Well, now I have because I've been sipping on it since we started this pod. But
see, you know what I do when I do a review? I at least have I try to pop it as the when we start the review.
I know you do.
Have no self-control.
But these, I don't have a can opener, so I have to use a lighter and be all white trash and janky to open it.
Just use your snaggletooth.
You're
By the
lucky
way,
I have a good sense of humor, Jared.
When I was in Ann Arbor, I saw a girl open a beer like that.
I saw a guy one time open up a beer with his eye.
Oh, I've seen that on the internet, but I haven't
Yeah,
seen
it's
it in
messed
person
up.
before. I don't even understand how you do that, or how you even.
Me either.
I don't-
Anyways,
The tooth I get, I just can't do it.
right. But yeah, so I have a new Czech beer with me today. And this, actually, another shout out to one of my students named Philip. There's like 80 Phillips at my school, so good luck figuring out which one it was. But he actually told me this is one of his favorite beers because most Czechs that I have talked to about beer, and there have been more than one.
I'm sure it comes up from time to time.
I usually ask them what their favorite beer is, and most Czechs will tell you Pilsner Urquell is like the top.
Really?
I like it, but
I
it's
thought they'd
not my
consider that
favorite.
mainstreamy.
I mean, maybe, but maybe it's mainstream because it's the best. I mean, you
I
could
guess.
argue that, you know.
I honestly thought it would be like a Budweiser of the
Budvar.
Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess they do have a Budweiser. They have the Budweiser.
No,
But I thought I meant an American Budweiser. I thought it would
I
be like
gotcha.
sort of more of a generic beer for them.
I mean, the Czechs that I know here in Chomutov, there's I think only 3 restaurants where you can get Pilsner on tap here, and I know quite a few people that will go to those restaurants.
Urquell. Pilsner means Pilsner Urquell.
Yeah, Pilsner Urquell. Thank you. That will go specifically to those places because they can get it on tap over other places.
Oh, where it's like a bottle.
Right. And so one of my students, Philip, shout out to you, he actually said this was his favorite beer. It's called Sviany, Svijany, Sviany. And it, according to the label, it started in 1568.
Okay.
So it's been around a while.
I like the label. It's very definitely. It's got the like. It's reminds me of like a old German beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. It's got like a cool little crest on it with like a knight's helmet.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
S, so it's pretty cool. And I have to say, I like it. It's pretty good. It's 11%.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. 11% in the Czech Republic has a different meaning. 11% or 11 degrees is here. It says it's 4.8% alcohol by volume.
What's the 11% mean?
But I don't know what and usually they write it as degrees, 11 degrees. I'm not
Okay.
sure why, but the 11 versus 10 is basically just the strength of beer. So if you go to the Czech Republic, and I see this at a lot of places, they may serve 2 or 3 different kinds of, usually not Pilsner because it's usually the same consistency. But if it's, for example, I've seen some Krušovice, which is one of my favorite Czech beers here. They will have, you'll see 10 degrees, 11 degrees, 12 degrees. And it's just the strength of beer. So this is like a medium strength beer.
So it's probably similar to like an IBU, which in I guess is an
Probably.
American thing maybe, which is the international. Oh no, there we go. I guess
International.
it's, the international bitterness units, which they use a lot for IPAs, and it's a rating of a bitterness, I guess.
Okay. I can tell you this has to do with the strength of the alcohol, not the bitterness.
So what kind of beer is that?
So this one, I mean, for all of our listeners out there in the Czech Republic, I apologize for lack of a better term, but it still is a Pilsner style
Okay.
beer. You know, it's got, I mean, I wish.
Can I look at it?
Yeah.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely Pilsner.
I wish the sunlight was coming in like it was earlier because right now because it's darker, it doesn't look as good. But it has a nice golden color to it.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
still
little
does
harder
look-
to
yeah.
see. But it's really good. It's crisp. It's not too bitter. I would say Pilsner sometimes for me, Pilsner Urquell, is sometimes, depending on how freshly it's been tapped or if I'm drinking it from a bottle, it sometimes is a little more bitter tasting, I would say. Still good, but a little bit more bitter. This definitely goes down a lot smoother. Let me give
Okay.
another taste to refresh my memory and my taste buds real quick. Yeah, I mean, it just goes down really smooth. Doesn't really have too much of a hoppy aftertaste at all whatsoever. I don't know if you've experienced this at all, Jared, but I think Pilsner Urquell, whenever you have either from the tap or if you pour a bottle out, to me, if you smell the beer, it smells kind of skunky.
Yeah, like it has that. It almost smells like weed a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
like Heineken.
I
Is it
mean,
Heineken.
Yeah,
It
Heineken
also
does
kind
it
of smells
too.
like weed too.
I was
yeah.
when I was at the Buddy Guy concert. A guy behind me had a Pilsner, and it was like he was kind of tall, so it was like I turned and it was right next to my face, so it was close to
Right.
my nose. At first, I thought, who's got the weed in here? Because it smelled skunky, whereas this does not have any skunky type of smell to it. I mean, I don't know. I would say it's a good beer. I wouldn't say it's my absolute favorite here. It's pretty tasty. I like it. Really smooth tasting for sure. But I'll have to eventually do a beer review of one of my favorite beers here, which is Kruszowice,
Okay.
which is
yeah.
pretty good. I'm hoping to check
eagerly
out
await
that
them.
brewery.
I found a beer place around me that's got some cool like weird looking beers.
Oh, nice.
So I think
You'll
I
have to
might
grab
I think
some.
I might go there and pick some out.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think we should alternate because I don't want to become an alcoholic.
Right. Because they're so yeah. Now that I'm done with Tonewood, I just never do one again, and you just do it. I'll do all of them. Because there are some cool like more of those like like those weird like some of those cheap labely looking ones. I was like, oh, I want to see what other kind of like cheap or not cheap because they're actually more
Just
expensive.
craft brewery.
But like yeah,
looking
what kind of
labels.
like interesting crafty stuff I can just stumble upon.
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, we'll be. That was thanks for the review.
Yeah,
be
and we'll
coming
have the
with, with
pictures
some
up
more of
on
those.
Instagram. Absolutely.
Well, before we record next, I guess we haven't planned when we'll record next. No, I'm free all weekend, but I'll go to the store and pick something up for next time.
Perfect. Awesome. Jared, do you happen to know what time it is, buddy?
Oh, I don't, but my Rolex does.
So, Jared, it is our untranslatable cuckoo, and I have some special music-related Czech untranslatables for you.
Oh my gosh, man, dude,
I
I
might
am the luckiest podcast co-host ever.
I might have to just stay here in the Czech
don't know how you
Republic
do it.
and do a PhD on Czech idioms after this because I'm going to be a pro.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally just write a dissertation off of your notes like
Probably.
off of your podcast notes.
Probably. I mean, I would have to estimate now for our untranslatables. I've been here for 3 months, and I would guess that it's got to be at least 50 or 60 idioms by now,
Probably. I mean, how many?
or maybe
episodes have we
30.
done?
We've done
No,
this
yeah,
is our
maybe
43rd, maybe 40, maybe 30.
Yeah, I
Probably
mean,
30.
you've probably at least averaged at least one every episode
Right.
since you've been there, and so you've probably been there since like episode at least 20 or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
So we're getting
I
there.
don't know.
Anyways, my first Czech untranslatable for you, Jared, is "Ja nic, ja muzikant," which means not me, I'm a musician.
I don't know. But I like how it sounds. But I don't know.
Ja nic, ja muzikant.
Should I just make a guess?
Yeah, sure.
Like I don't get stressed because I'm a musician.
I really like that, but no, this is
Not
more
me.
like
I just play my music.
not well. Yeah, keep going. You're getting closer just by that phrase.
I just
a
play
little
my
closer.
music
Yeah.
to relax.
No. It has nothing to do with relaxation.
I just
Not
play
me.
my music.
I'm just playing my music.
I just play my music. I don't know, because I don't know. Like, is it a musical idiom? Like, is it
No,
like
it's no. So this means to deny your responsibility for something. Like not
okay.
me. I'm a musician. Like if you're at like a party and something
Oh.
goes down, you're like, nope. I'm just here with the band. Didn't do anything shady.
Oh, it's just like, hey, don't look at me. I'm just the hired help. I don't know.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
It's a good one. Yeah. Ja nic, ja muzikant.
Oh, that's good. All right. I'm trying to think. I have a couple, but I don't know if I'm going to do them all because I have a lot of I want to talk about. And you have a hockey game to go to, don't you?
I do.
So I'll start with this one. It's Persian. Tike adaktan. Tike adaktan.
Okay.
And
which
it means to drop pieces.
to drop pieces. So it's like to give
Yeah.
hints.
No, but you're kind of on the right track in terms of dropping things.
Okay. So not to give hints.
But it's
Is it like when you don't have control of something?
No.
I don't know. Give
It's
it to me.
to make a sarcastic or snide remark.
Oh,
So
I
it-
like that.
So it's like a subtle drop in, just like you drop a quick piece
Okay.
in there real quick.
Interesting. Okay. That's good. I
Like
like
your
that
mom
one.
wasn't thinking that last night. What?
You're dropping
I didn't
pieces?
say anything. What are you talking about?
right. Dropping pieces? That's awesome. So the next one I have is also Czech. I have 2 Czech ones that are left. This one is, one moment here. Za malo peněz hodně muziky, which means for a little money, a lot of music.
It's music is like a very attainable joy.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Good, because that wasn't very eloquent what I
when
said.
when you give a lot to only gain a little. So a little money for a lot of music.
Oh.
So playing a
little
lot of
money
music
goes-
takes a lot of effort, right?
Uh-huh.
But you only get a little money from it.
Oh, okay.
mhm.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's most art. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like when people like always complain about how expensive a painting is. Like that costs blah 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 $1,000. Where it's like yeah, I know it's just art to you, but this also took this person, thousands of hours to make.
Right. For sure.
Just keep going. We'll
right.
finish with your Czech ones. I'll save my other 2 for later.
Sounds good. All right. This last one also is a music one. 3 music ones for you today. This
Okay.
one is Hudba Budnoc. Oh, shoot. Let me try it again. Hudba budoucnosti, which means music of the future.
Ooh. Music of the future.
Music of the future.
Is that what they call techno?
Not quite.
Okay, I was like, I'm only half joking. Music of the future. I don't know. Is that like dropping knowledge?
No, it means that a plan will only come to fruition in the distant future.
Oh, okay. So it's like we'll only sing about this. We can only sing about this in the future.
Right.
I don't even know if that's what that really means as I say it.
Right. Not completely, but yeah, it's basically just if something
I feel you.
comes to fruition in the near future. So speaking of music, our topic for today is music and language learning. We're hoping to give you some hacks to make your language learning journey a little easier and a little bit more fun with music. So what would you like to start us off with, Jared?
I mentioned at the top of the show that I don't think there was ever much integration of music into my teaching, into my education of languages. Maybe from here and there. The 2 songs that stick out to me as songs for learning languages: Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. I've sang that in about 14 different languages. And Frere Jacques.
Okay, nice.
And I don't even fully know what Frere Jacques is about. Frere Jacques, do re mi, do re mi.
That's not it, is it?
Voulez-vous coucher va? I'm just making I don't even know. See, I don't even. That's how good that song. That's how much that song worked for me.
Right.
Like I can't think of much or many go-to songs. Can you think of any?
I mean, definitely some for German, yeah. We listened to MFG by Die Fantastischen Vier when I was in college. MFG stands for Mit freundlichen Grüßen. You're good. You're good. I'm trying to think of other ones. We listened to some in my high school German class, but that was so long ago that I'm not quite sure. Oh, we listened to Heut ist mein Tag by Blümchen. It's like
why
techno.
these songs?
I think some of them. I think Heut ist mein Tag was just one that one of our students actually knew about in German class in high school and asked our teacher to play it for us.
Okay, and that
MFG
sounds,
was because of all the different abbreviations.
if you include that in there, then I also remember a song called Strobo Pop. Do you remember that song?
Mm-mm.
We had to bring in a song to German class in college, and I remember it was. I remember Guardo. I don't even remember the song I brought, but I remember my friend Guardo brought Strobo Pop, and we played the music. Oh, maybe it was a language, like a cultural event or language table kind of thing, Sprachtisch. But I remember him playing the music video, and at the beginning of the music video, there's literally a warning to epileptic people because it's like an electronic song, and there's a lot of like flashing lights in it.
Right.
And so I do remember that song, but
Another
I don't really
song I
even know why.
remember. Another song I remember from college is the song "Amour" by Rammstein, and "amour" is obviously the French word for love. And actually, I've been listening to Rammstein since high school. I've always loved their music. You know, they're kind of an interesting like German heavy metal group, but I had never heard this song before. But it's really good, and I'll just read some of it and try to roughly translate just the first little verse. So the verse goes, Die Liebe ist ein wildes Tier. So love is a wild animal. Sie atmet dich, sie sucht nach dir. It breathes you and looks for you. How do you say? And it's like nested in broken hearts. Goes on the hunt with kisses and candles. It holds you tight on its lips. Anyways, it sounds so much better in German.
Why you translate this?
I don't know why I was, to be honest. But check out, if any of our listeners out there are trying to learn German, check out the song "Amour" by Rammstein. It's really good. And I remember listening to that in college. It had to do with something we were either watching or reading in class. So yeah, one of the first things I wanted to bring up about music was it can be a great supplemental activity or topic to use in your language lessons if you're a teacher to make things more interesting and more fun. And the other thing is too, I've had students where I've shown them music before in class and they enjoyed it so much that they listen to it outside of class, and it broadens your vocabulary quite a bit, you know.
Well, that's where I first heard of Seed, was through German class. How do you integrate music into your classes?
So I'm actually doing even though I have never been to New York, I have been asked by my school to teach a lesson about New York.
Okay.
So I don't know very much about New York besides what any man can Google. So I figured it would be cool. We're going to listen to Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z, featuring Alicia Keys in class. And so I'm going to have them...
Oh, and break down the song?
Yep. And we're going to analyze the song. So that'll be really fun.
And name like all the things that he's talking... Because he does just run through...
Oh, yeah. All sorts of stuff.
Tourist attractions in New York.
Yeah. But there's going to be some stuff I'm going to have to explain. Like he says something about selling rock. So I'm going to have to explain that to my students.
Concrete jungle.
Yep, concrete jungle. Although I bet you a lot of them have probably heard that term before. They may even have that term in Czech. I'm not sure. But yeah, so in a lot of my classes, I use music either for my children's classes. I usually use it to introduce vocabulary and pronunciation, because it's more fun to listen to a song and sing along with the song than for me to just say, I don't know, if we were doing hobbies, for me to say playing basketball, then have the students all repeat playing basketball.
That actually, I never thought about that, but that probably makes it easier to pronounce something if you're saying it in song form or singing it, especially because, you know, the words flow together and it's well put together. So it's like you're kind of learning the word by learning the entire phrase,
right,
and how that phrase is said.
Oh, definitely. The other thing too is actually singing activates a different part of your brain than just speaking does.
Right.
So like there have been, I've seen a few people who are music therapists, and they have patients who have suffered from severe strokes and other, you know, really big health setbacks and issues. And they can actually, they have a lot of difficulty speaking, but they can sing, you know, fairly
I've
clearly.
seen that.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So singing is great for introducing vocabulary. Also for students and for all of our language learners listening to our podcast, music is a great way for you to get additional input, authentic cultural and linguistic input of whatever language you're learning outside of the classroom, as much or as little as you want. I listened to this one album in high school, by Die Ärzte, which is a German group. We actually had a song of the pod a while back called A Song for You, Ein Lied für dich. And I listened to that song on the bus before and after school every day, nonstop. I was able, after about a month of listening to it, to sing along with every song on the album. And I learned a lot
Dude,
of...
I fucked up. I fucked up. I bought these at the store
Yeah. Yes, more animal cookies. That's awesome.
I was at the store yesterday and I saw them. I was like, oh, damn it, I'm about to get these. And they're so fucking cheap. This bag is like $2.
It's all right. You enjoy those animal cookies while I go on my
And I haven't had breakfast, too,
language.
sorry.
You're good.
I'm
Well, you go on
hungry.
your music while I talk about music and language learning. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of great opportunities for students to just get more input in the language. I would highly suggest whenever you start to listen to new music, if possible, go online and see if you can find the lyrics. Depending on where your language level or abilities are, I would say if you're a beginner, I would look up the lyrics and then maybe see if you can find a translation in your native language. If you're more of an intermediate or advanced language student, I would say look up the definitions of words you don't understand in that language. So if I'm an advanced learner of German and I hear a song in German, I will look up the words that I don't know on a German dictionary, and they'll describe it to me in German.
Right.
So that would be my tip for all of you. I think it's also really helpful to, if you can go on YouTube and watch and listen to the song and read along with the lyrics.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, even languages I don't understand, like for example, that Capareza song, Melancholia, which was about like it was all in Italian, and just watching it and listening to what he was and like his cadences, I almost kind of like in watching the video, it's like, oh, I understand what he's talking about. I understand this song and this video, and I could imagine if I was actually learning Italian and incorporating something like that where it's like, oh, I see what's going on even though I don't fully understand this yet. Now that I'm learning it, I can start to pick out words and start to kind of put the context together because I can understand what he's trying to convey.
Right. Right. And the other awesome thing about music is it's just a great tool to train your ear for whatever language you're learning.
Yes. That's what I like about it too is and this goes for kind of TV as well. I guess we could probably do another episode about.
We should.
But because it I forget what I was gonna say because I'm thinking about TV shows. We on our Untranslatable podcast Instagram we follow an account that posts like episode like clips from popular cartoons like Simpsons that are in Spanish and stuff like that. I forgot what I was gonna say because I was just thinking of that post. I remember what I was gonna say, but yeah, that is what makes I think adding either TV or music so great is that it not only allows you to heavily immerse yourself into a language, ideally in a fun way, but it also through learning that language, especially through learning that language with it being spoken by not just your teacher feeding it to you, but rather someone that's not concerned with how a non-native would get it, is it also helps teach the culture, I think, too. And it helps you understand people's culture. Like, you always hear, it's almost you always hear people from like European countries or mostly European for me because that's I guess where I hear most about. But like from foreign countries, thinking they understand like hip hop culture or like black culture because they're familiar with like rap and stuff like that. And it's like which to a certain extent, obviously it's giving you a skewed view of whatever culture or music or aspect of culture you're looking at. But it does kind of also, it is teaching you, like you are learning something about it, even though it might be a kind of characterized, cartoonized version of it.
I would agree. Yeah, I think culture is another aspect of music that you can learn a lot from. I mean, especially with American music, there are a lot of like pop culture references, especially in hip hop music. Like I've had quite a few debates with my students about the beef between Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem. I mean, Jared, I'm an Eminem fan.
They're Machine Gun Kelly stands. I guess you can't even say stands because because stands is an Eminem term. You can't.
Right.
What do they call them? Bullets?
Kellians? I don't know. I don't know. But and what's funny is a lot of the younger students actually think Rap Devil was better, which
Well, they didn't grow up with Eminem. They're Eminem's past. Like they're a little too young.
They
for
didn't
Eminem.
grow up with Eminem. They grew up with Machine Gun Kelly.
Did anyone grow up with Machine Gun Kelly? Is that
No,
famous?
I'm saying these students. I think most of my students are between the ages of 15 and 18.
Okay.
So I don't really
All right.
think they were probably growing up with Eminem like I was.
No.
I remember I was
No.
in either 3rd or 4th grade when the Real Slim Shady came out. I don't know
We're
how my
from
parents,
Michigan, so we
Right.
also have that added little extra bit of pride for Eminem.
Sure, of course. And I really just think he's a fantastic lyricist and rapper. But anyways, there were a bunch of cultural references I think there were actually more of them in Kill Shot than there were in Rap Devil, where he says something.
Wait, which one did which one?
Eminem did Kill Shot. Rap Devil was
Okay.
Rap Devil. I think is kind of a play on how Eminem had
Rap
Rap God.
God.
Exactly.
Right.
But what was funny though is Eminem references Lil Tay in Kill Shot, and like all my students knew who that was. So I was like, oh, all right, you guys have some pop culture knowledge. So yeah, there's a lot of pop culture I think that students can learn from music. There's also a lot of language that you can learn that isn't taught in the classroom. I have a lot of students who are big fans of AC/DC. I guarantee you there are a lot of innuendos in AC/DC songs that you will never hear or learn from your English teacher in your English class.
I'm still like when every now and again if I say I'm listening to a podcast and I just reference some sort of old rock song or I'm just happen to be listening to it, I'm still learning new ways to explain doing drugs that I didn't even know existed.
Right.
Or it's like, oh, that's what that meant in that in that Led Zeppelin song or in that
Right.
or in that AC/DC song where I was like, oh, that means he's doing heroin? I did not realize that.
Exactly. Yeah, like I think Mr. Brownstone by Guns N' Roses. I think that whole song is a reference to heroin, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it's like, okay. I guess, yeah, because heroin, turns brown when you, liquid it up or whatever.
Right. So, yeah. So, there's a lot of interesting things
guessing.
you
I
can
wouldn't
learn.
know.
Right. Me either.
No, I've seen movies.
There's a lot of things you can learn from songs. And I think it's cool because it's kind of a portable and fun language lesson wherever you go.
Do you struggle to find songs that both are educational and useful and that also, speak to, that are actually, something that a kid would want to listen to?
As an English teacher, no, because there's so much English music. It's not
harder
a problem.
as a German teacher?
With German, it's a little bit. Although with German, there are some really cool songs that.
You have to dig a little bit deeper.
You have to dig deeper, but the other problem with German is because the students most likely have never heard the song before. There's a lot more preparation you have to do to explain the additional vocabulary they won't know. Whereas a lot of the students I have at my school, I have to admit that the language level is pretty high for them, and they listen to a lot of American music, as you said. So it's not as big of a problem for me to want to bring a song into class and have us listen to it or analyze it or do whatever with it.
Right. What I wrote down to ask you are what characteristics attract you to a song for educational purposes? Let's say German, because English might be easier just because you have a pretty extensive just encyclopedia of songs in your head already. But for German, for example, if you're trying to look for a song for whatever specific purpose, what would be your Google search terms?
Well, thankfully with German, I have a big enough data
That's pretty
bank in
good
my
too.
head, where I can pull songs for whatever reason. But when I first started teaching German, I would Google songs with modal verbs in German, or it would usually be for a grammatical purpose. Now I try to find songs more for a cultural reason. Like in one of my German courses, I chose the song America by Rammstein, where it's kind of a satirical theme about how America has this kind of overreaching influence everywhere around the world, and they say we're all living in America. America, it's wunderbar. But I think the wunderbar there is meant a little sarcastically or facetiously.
yeah.
Facetiously.
Yeah, that's a tough word to say.
Yeah, it
I
is.
try to avoid it.
Yeah. But so we listened to that song in one of my German classes, and we talked about it. Okay, well, what, and I was teaching Americans, so it was, I think for them, a lot of them, a big learning moment. I think some
to
Americans
see,
don't realize.
Outsider's perception.
Exactly. Another one I did that we talked about German culture is a song by one of my favorite groups. You won't like them because they're mostly a cappella, but they're called Die
I don't hate
Prinzen.
acapella. I just don't want to listen to it on my iPod.
That's fair.
I'll go to for example, our school had the euphonics.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, one of my very close friends was like the leader of it for a bit, but I enjoyed going to those concerts. But I'm not gonna listen to them on my iPod.
Right. That's fair. I would probably listen to them on my iPod. Anyways, I listen to
I would just
acapella
listen
in
to
general.
the actual song.
Right.
And also, I don't want to listen to them bleep out the swear words for an audience of 18 plus people.
Right. That's fair. Anyways, yeah, so I did a song called I didn't do it, but we listened to the song Das alles ist Deutschland. That this is Germany, or that's all that's Germany. And so it's also kind of a satirical song. It talks about the positives of Germany, but also the negatives of Germany. Like one of my favorite lines in that song is I think it's like Manche finden es cool, ein Arschloch zu sein, which means most find it cool to be an asshole. So it's kind of there are some parts where they're positive aspects of German culture, but then some that are negative. So I've used that in my German classes as well. One song I use very frequently when I'm teaching German, if we're doing verb endings, because in German they conjugate differently depending on if we're talking I or you or we, he or she. They have different verb endings or conjugations. And so I play the song Ich will, I want by Rammstein because it's very repetitive. Mm-hmm. I also use that song as well if I'm teaching modal verbs.
Ich will is also an important thing to teach American students because I, for the longest time, didn't realize that it was want to that will means.
Mm-hmm. It's a false friend.
That's an easy yes. Yes, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
A false friend.
Or a false cognate, if you want to get more linguistic.
Technical.
Yeah, exactly. So I use those songs. It really just depends on what I think. The cool thing about music is any song, I think you can pick apart the pieces, and there's some type of language in there you can discuss, regardless of if it's German, French, Arabic, Czech, Spanish, whatever. I did a Halloween lesson a few weeks ago at my school, and I played my students the Monster Mash, and I had them listen to the song, and I had them write down any words that they heard that they might associate with Halloween.
Yeah, I guess I haven't actually listened to that song in full since ever, but how do you feel about teachers that sometimes play music like in the background? This doesn't really apply to you because I don't know how much solo work you do, where it's just like you guys go off and do something. But how do you feel about teachers that play music in the background?
So during, I was one of the co-teachers for a German for Kids camp over the summer, and I was actually usually the DJ playing the music in the background when we would let the kids draw or like do crafts or things like this. And so I think it's
what
great.
Kind of music?
I would usually pick, my number one was always Johann Strauss II.
Okay.
So
you kept it, you didn't.
It was classical.
You kept all classical?
Yeah, it was all classical.
I figure.
So I would play like Tales from the Viennese Forest, Geschichte aus der Wienerwald. I would play, of course, On the Blue Danube, or On the Beautiful Blue Danube, even though it's not blue or beautiful, but to each his own. It probably was blue and beautiful back then when he wrote it.
Where there's less buildings around it.
Exactly. And then I would play some Mozart here and there, also some Beethoven and some Schubert.
I had a teacher in 6th grade that used to play, like in my geography class, whenever we'd be doing like some solo work, he would play the greatest hits, like a Queen greatest hits CD,
Okay.
and that's really the only thing he'd play. Which no one complained.
Queen's pretty solid.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong
Right.
with the greatest hits of Queen, I
Right.
guess. So
And now it's a little difficult because most of actually all of my classes are speaking and listening. So, I think it would distract the students if I had music on in the background when they should be
Right.
talking to each other. But
Right.
yeah, if you're having
more
them
noise at that
work
point.
privately, exactly. If you're having them work privately on a task, I personally think it's a great enhancer of the atmosphere or the environment of your classes. And it's really great. I also I do a couple different extracurricular clubs here in Komutov as well. And for the technology club we meet in the computer lab. And I let my students listen to music if they want, because usually I'll give them a few tasks and they're just doing it on their own. So that's
Right.
when it's a great time for music as well. But yeah,
I definitely work better with something going on in my headphones at work.
Oh, me too.
How do you? So we've joked about School of Rock on here plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about? Have you ever? I probably asked you this, but have you ever brought your guitar to school before?
I have. I did an English lesson last year or 2 years ago, and it was an English class, and I had the students write a 12-bar blues. So I taught them a little bit about the history of blues. Kind of told them that really with the 12-bar blues, the easiest form is you have one line that repeats. And
They wrote lyrics to it,
they wrote their own lyrics.
Okay.
I wish I would have kept them because some of them were pretty good. Some of them were also pretty funny. But the cool thing about that lesson was there was kind of an unintentional learnable moment or teachable moment, depending on which side of the fence you're on, where the students also learned a little bit about syllable stress. Because if you didn't have if the words rhymed, but they didn't have the same syllable stress or the same amount of syllables, it didn't work.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I never think about that, but probably just because it comes naturally to me.
Right. Like this is kind of a stupid example, but if they were to end their one of their 12-bar blues phrases with, I don't know, I'm feeling blue, right? And then the next line they say something about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a word that rhymes with blue. I'm missing my little honeydew or something cheesy like that. It wouldn't work because it's too many syllables.
Oh, that kind of worked. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you know, yeah. So it was really cool, and that's the nice thing about music is music teaches you, as we've mentioned, culture, vocabulary. Also, though, I think syllable stress and patterns or the rhythm or intonation of a language.
Is this when you were volunteering at that refugee center?
No, this was when I was
Okay.
teaching at Michigan State University.
Because I was going to say there might actually be some legitimate blues that could come out of.
That's
out
true.
of some of the...
Well, and that's another thing too, though, is music.
That's why I thought you kept them. I was like, this
Right.
is actually
Right. Well,
Right
music
now.
is very
It's gonna be the
therapeutic,
blues.
though. So
Oh, yeah.
so it might be even good to do a lesson on that. I'm not sure. I mean, when I volunteered at the refugee center, though, they told us to steer clear of any, talking about their past and things like that because they didn't
Right.
want to, make them feel sad or uncomfortable, which, I
Right.
can't even imagine, the lives of some of these people where they've had to, completely flee their entire country and leave the rest of their family
uproot
behind.
their life.
Yeah. So yeah, but there's just so many benefits to using music. And if you are studying a language by yourself, I would always suggest at least once a day, listen to one or two songs, even if it's the same song. Listen to it. It'll help you expand your vocabulary. Sing along, as cheesy as that sounds, but it does really help.
Have you had any? Yeah, for sure. I always tell myself that I need to get better at listening to German just to keep it. Like, that's literally the least I could do, especially as someone that always has headphones on. Just direct some of that headphone time to stuff that's actually in German.
Right.
And even if I'm only kind of half listening to it and I'm doing something in the background, it's probably beneficial. Although I did learn, like, I listen to podcasts while I work, and I do a lot of reading, so I can read and listen to podcasts.
Oh, I can't
I
do
did
that.
find
I can't do that.
I did find out I can't do that with German. I tried that with a German podcast, and like my brain would just shut off. Like I would be reading in English, and my the complete listening part of my brain would just shut off, and then I would listen, and the complete reading part of my brain would just shut off. I could not do those at the same time.
Oh, I believe it.
But I can do it if it's both the same language. Or English, I guess. I probably couldn't do it.
I can't read and listen to a podcast. I can read and listen to music, but I can't. Ooh, that's just too much for my brain.
I'm a fucking genius.
That's true.
Have you had colleagues question the validity of the music in the classroom?
Actually, no. I've been very fortunate that I think I also really try to have a reason for it. I mean, when I was teaching German at Michigan State University, I would also come to class early every day and just play some music videos just to get the mood right in class. As awkward as that sounded, I realized that after it rolled off my tongue. But, I wanted
also, they didn't
have
see
fun...
your move when you said it, just to get the move right.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to, give the students kind of a fun atmosphere in class, and language learning itself can be very stressful, and if you have anxiety, it can induce even more anxiety. And so I would always try to have, really fun music at the beginning of class just to get everyone to lighten up a little bit, relax. And but I think if I were to use music in every one of my lessons as in like taking class time from it, maybe then my colleagues would get a little skeptical. But usually they've been very supportive in letting me use music in the classroom. Nice.
Shout out to them.
Absolutely.
So I thought of some ideas for language teachers like you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. We might have even already hit on some of them. Okay. Tell students to bring in their favorite English-speaking song or whatever language you're teaching, and the student must interpret it or explain why they chose that song to the class.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done something like that before?
I have an extracurricular club that's literally called the Music and English Conversation Club, and every week they do that.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. This one is from an English learning administrator named Christina Robertson, and she says, I play a soft selection of classical music and have the students write down all the adjectives that come to mind. And then after the song's over, she says, why do you choose these adjectives?
That's
and
great.
what other people
I like that.
See if other people have similar adjectives or why it's different and all that stuff. Play a song for the class and give them the lyrics with certain blanks.
Yep, I've done that before.
Okay, well, there you go.
I'm actually going to be doing that when we do Empire State of Mind.
Well, see, I'm glad that the one that you haven't done, it was kind of my favorite, which was the play the classical music, or it doesn't even have to be classical music, but any song, and to just write down like adjectives.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask.
But I think classical music's good because there's no words, and
right.
It's like you can't use anything from the song to
exactly
as a clue.
Exactly. But I'm actually going to ask my classes when we do our New York lesson if they think Empire State of Mind is a positive or negative song about New York. So I'm curious to see what they think. It'll be interesting.
I don't remember. Oh, because it talks about how, goddamn animal crackers. So, because he talks about how it's like a rough place and yeah. Interesting. I mean, that's
don't be giving our students any ideas, Jared.
I'm not gonna give them. I know some of your students listen, so I'm not gonna give them any hints. But that I will say this: that has been a debate for ages.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I often hear people in New York talk about how there's the people that say, "Oh, I miss the old New York,"
right?
But then there are also the people that say, like, the old New York sucked. Like it's like, well, you mean the New York where you could get stabbed in Times Square? It's like, no, I don't miss that.
Right.
And so there is this debate of what makes New York great, and so I don't think that gave anything away. I think that's just framing the discussion because I don't know the answer. I mean, there's not really an answer.
Right, but hopefully it will bring an interesting discussion. Well, I really appreciate you bringing up those three things, ideas for teachers. I'd like to give 3 ideas for our listeners who are learning the language on their own, and then we'll move on to the song of the pod. So, number 1, I would say when you listen to music, especially new music, look up the lyrics, whether it's on YouTube and you're reading along while you're listening, or just Google the lyrics and find them. If you're lucky, especially if you're learning English as a foreign language, I would highly suggest checking out the website genius.com because they have really great annotations and notes about the song. I actually listened to the song I'm Not Racist by Joyner Lucas during one of my music
Previous song of the pod?
Yes, and a previous song of the pod with my students. And we went on Genius and read some of the annotations, and it was really good. It was
Wow, that's a heavy song for class.
It is, but it was a really good discussion. So that would be my tip number 1. Tip number 2 is, really try to listen. I mean, most music is fairly repetitive, so try to say the words with the song, or even if it's something that's really repetitive, you could even write down the chorus. And this is a way to expand your vocabulary and better remember the song lyrics. And the last thing I would suggest for all of our listeners out there who want to use music to help them learn a language is to also kind of branch out and try to listen to other music with, in that same language, so you can learn even more vocabulary and have more access to cultural information as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that.
So we hope our episode today has helped you figure out some ways for teachers and students how to use music to help you learn a language. And without further ado, I would like to discuss our song of the pod today, which is by a German artist. His stage name is Clouseau, and he is from Erfurt, Germany, which is East Germany, not too far from Leipzig. And the song is called Barfuß, or Barefoot. And what are your thoughts on it, Jared?
Well, much like the title of his song, his style is very Barfuß. I believe it's just acoustic and him, if I'm not mistaken?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And so it's just him playing a guitar and then and singing. I assume he's a guitar player. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
And it's relaxing yet kind of from at least from what I got, because it's in German. I mean my German's pretty good, but I always wonder if I actually understand these songs. But it seems like he's saying like he's been through struggles and he's now just kind of letting go. Mm-hmm. That's the sense I got. Am I right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
I would say so. Yeah.
It seemed like he was talking about letting go of control and just sort of kind of freeing himself to. Did he? I don't know. Now this is more of a memory thing. Did he mention something about playing as a guitar as well?
I'm not sure. Maybe. But
okay, I just don't remember.
Example,
I only listened to it once because
you're busy. It's early. No worries. Well, I love the lines. He says, "Always when I try out something new, I'm walking like I'm barefoot over glass." Mm-hmm. So I think it is a little bit like what you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How'd you choose it? Because you chose this song.
So a colleague of mine actually used this song in one of her German classes at MSU. And I remember her telling me, "Oh, have you tried using Barfuß in your German classes?" And I haven't yet, and I want to use this one in the future. Yeah. But it's a great song. He is a really good songwriter. The guitar is really nice. It's also, I think, a really relaxing song. A little insight to my own private personal life. This is one of the songs on my post-workout playlist, actually.
Okay.
So as I'm walking home,
mellow you down.
Yeah, as I'm walking home and I'm waddling like a penguin because my legs are super sore already. This
gets you down off the adrenaline rush of that pump.
Exactly. So check it out. Our song of the pod today is Barfuß by Clouseau. It's a fantastic song. We hope you enjoy it and you can learn some new German words while listening. So now, moving on, we're going to switch gears and switch languages. And I have sadly no phrase today, but just a word, a Czech word of the pod. I wanted this to be fitting. And the word is hudba. Do you know what hudba means, Jared? Sorry, I asked you mid-chew with your animal crackers.
I'm good. I was trying to think because at first I was like, wait, you want it to be fitting. So I was like, all right, our topic was music for education. Is hudba song?
Nope. It's more general than song.
Lyrics?
Nope.
Well, that's not more general.
It's music.
That's actually
It's the Czech word for
Oh,
music.
is it?
Hudba.
I thought I heard you. I thought when you were giving your you know why I didn't guess music is because when you were giving your untranslatables, you said music different, like as music or something.
Yes,
like
there's two phrases you can use. You can use musica or hudba. So the
Okay, that's why I didn't guess
untranslatable,
music.
yeah, the untranslatable I gave you was hudba budouc nosti, which is music of the future. Hudba.
That was one of them.
Hudba.
Oh, I didn't even notice that because the other one had music in it, didn't it?
Yeah, the other one had music. The other one has hudba.
Oh, I didn't even catch
Yes.
that.
Hudba
Look at you,
seems more
sneaky
popular,
bastard.
though. That's right. That's right. So, yeah, I thought that would be a cool Czech word of the pod for this episode. Hudba, which is Czech for music. That's one of the first Czech words I learned, actually.
And it's very useful for your life as a. So I mean, you could get some use out of that.
Actually, I want to add one more useful Czech word of the pod today, and that word is kitari.
Okay, what's that?
Kitari is guitar.
That makes sense.
Because hudba and kitari are two words that I tried to learn before I came here. So I would know where the music stores are and where the guitar stores are.
Or if there's an opportunity for you to play at someone's apartment bar,
Exactly.
You know what to tell them what you play.
Exactly.
Do you know how to say I play guitar?
Not yet. I'm getting there,
Okay,
but
you should
not
probably
yet.
get on that.
Yeah.
That might come in handy.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could say if I knew the word for guitarist, I could say I am a guitarist.
Yeah.
But I'm not
how do you
sure
say?
what the word.
Do you know how to change like a guitar to guitarist?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, you're still
A
you're
beginner,
new in
that's for sure.
in your journey.
Right, exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about language learning is we all are on our own journeys, and we all need to just respect the fact that for me it may take longer than some other people here living in the Czech Republic. I might be able to do it a little faster than other people, and that's totally okay. I think
And now you even have now that we do this podcast, there's literal proof of like how sort of flustered you were first getting around to now. You might not be you're still not don't know a lot of stuff, but you don't seem as flustered or concerned putting yourself in situations where you're gonna like kind of have to like
not at all.
tread water a little bit to,
I mean, yesterday when I was looking for sweatpants was a really interesting because I asked the woman if she spoke English or German, and she couldn't, but we made it work. Mluvite anglicky? Yeah, I literally asked her that. I said mluvite anglicky nebo niemiecki, which is do you speak English or German? Yeah. You got it. You're good. Your Czech is practically better than mine. All right, Jared. Well, I want to move on. I have a few jokes today, some music jokes. So, Jared, what do you call Bach, Mozart, Haydn, and Beethoven?
dead.
Ooh, hit that ham horn.
No way.
Ham horn. Hell yes. Yeah. I figured I'd start us out with kind of a dark joke. I figured you'd enjoy that one.
Oh my god.
Dead. That's right. That's right. I was hoping you'd be like, I don't know, composer, and then I'd be like, dead, but you got it.
I did not think I'd get that. I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna say that, then you'd actually be like, nope.
No, you got it. All right. So as you and our listeners probably know by now, I am a guitarist, and I found a good guitarist joke and a pianist joke for you. So,
Okay.
how do you get a guitarist to play softer or stop playing?
I don't know.
Put sheet music in front of him.
That would probably slow you down. Not anymore.
Oh
Now
no,
you can read sheet
it
music.
would slow me down.
Still would?
Oh, it would slow
Yeah.
me down big time. I can read sheet music, but I can't sight read.
Right.
And because
Yes,
I haven't
okay.
been playing classical guitar now in sadly 3 months, your sheet
You've kinda
reading
gotten out of the
skills,
habit.
can go really fast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean it's important to be able to read some basic sheet music though. Like I can easily pick out chords and stuff, which is nice. Okay, my second joke or my last joke is just for you, Jared. How
That's
do you
also,
get?
also your third joke, by the way.
Yes. Sorry,
You said second.
my third joke. How do you get a pianist to play softer?
Oh, how do you get a pianist to play softer? I don't know.
Take away their sheet music.
Oh, I feel like a lot of pianists would protest to that.
Yeah, but I think there are a lot of classically trained pianists that always have the sheet music in front of them. I think jazz pianists, yeah, it's no problem.
My piano teacher, I think she kind of views sheet music as a crutch.
Yeah, I agree. So
And
kudos to her.
She says once you learn it, don't just put it in front of you out of habit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And she harps on memorizing everything and not not focusing on sheet
I think
music.
it's really important to memorize things.
Yeah, because then it
would
kind of
agree.
helps you not focus so much on the notes and more on the feeling.
Right.
I think her thought.
Like I played, I would say 90% of my senior guitar recital memorized.
Even my last recital that I did, I played it memorized too, and I was only like a year in at that point.
Yeah, but it's much better. And I think it's also more musical if you have it memorized because you don't have to
Yeah, because it's a
read.
crutch to stare. Because you're staring at the notes when it's like it's unnecessary use of your attention because you know it. It's just
Exactly.
because you're like, just in case I somehow lose my spot or get messed up,
Right.
I'll be able to find where I'm at. It's like it doesn't really work like
Which
that.
a bonus tip to all of our language learners / musicians out there, you should also practice playing a piece in different spots because most people always start in the beginning
Dude,
and end at the end, but sometimes start in the middle, start right before the
we're
end.
so simpatico right now.
Right.
I had a piano lesson 2 days ago, and I'm starting some new songs, some Christmassy
Oh,
stuff.
nice.
And my piano teacher, we were before we started any song, we analyze the form of it, ABA and all that stuff. And she was telling me that to start, like, it's useful to start learning the harder parts first. And the harder part happened to be the coda, which in music talk is the sort of the conclusion of the song.
Right.
And so she said, start with the coda and start learning that. And then we said, B was the second hardest. She's like, just learn it backwards. And then, and it's like, and I said, I like this because it's rare that I've never really practiced like that before, even though we've talked about it. I've never really committed to doing that. And it's noticeable where you'll be very comfortable in the beginning parts and then always kind of feel like the end always kind of feels like the challenging part of every song to me. But I think it's just because out of sort of the way I practice, it usually ends up being the least practiced section.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's common with most musicians. And you also don't want to be that person who can only play a clean intro.
Right.
Yeah. and that was my problem when I was younger because my guitar teachers weren't very strict. And so I'd learn the intro really well, and then the middle and the end of the song would fall apart.
Right,
So, yeah.
like it almost seems like I can think about this on some songs, like some the Bach stuff I played, where it almost feels like the song gets progressively harder, like as it goes along. But it's like, no, you just because I'm not disciplined with practicing chunks. That it's just I end up practicing the beginning way more
Right.
than I do the end.
And I think if you practice in chunks as well, it gives you a deeper appreciation for the music you're playing.
Yes, and understanding of that section.
Exactly.
Rather than just, I think so too. So I haven't practiced since Wednesday, which is not good. I've been practicing way less recently. But I'm kind of excited to see. So maybe that's what I'll do with my day off is actually practice.
There you go.
I'm excited to see how that goes.
Nice. Let us know because
I'll
I'm
check in.
curious.
Yeah, we'll check in.
Nice. Well, it has come to that time for me to send us off with a quote. So I have another quote from Confucius. He has a lot of golden quotes.
Who dat?
And this quote is, "Music produces a kind of pleasure which human nature cannot do without." And I would add to that, I think language learning can also not do without.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. It adds a whole different dimension to human interaction that you can't get just from conversation.
Exactly. And I think music is, at least for me, I've been a lover of music ever since I was a child. And I think it's just such a great part of life. And it's also really been helpful for me as a language learner.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I really started getting into music, not too young, probably maybe like middle school. But it was, I'm not that I didn't listen to music before that, but I wasn't that into it before that. And it was really just because my sister was into it and she's older than me, and I would just listen to all the stuff she listened to. So Yeah, I mean, that's ghostic. What Confucius is saying is that like it's bigger than like it adds a whole new dimension to relationships and how you communicate with people, because that's something that me and my sister still bond over today and share, songs back and forth.
Oh,
and
definitely.
New artists and all that stuff. So
And you bring up
Yeah.
a good point. That's a great way to bond with people in different cultures. One of my closest friends in Germany, my buddy David, we bonded over our love for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
yeah,
And so I mean, music is just such an amazing thing. So we hope you all enjoyed our episode today about music and language learning. We hope you can take advantage of some of the tips and tricks we have given you, and let us know what music you enjoy listening to in a foreign language, either via our Twitter, Untranslatable1, or our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, or send us an email. We would love to have a link to the song, and maybe it could also become a future song of the podcast at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. We thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without you, and we hope you all have a great morning, evening, or I guess that's about it. Morning, afternoon, or evening. And we will talk to you all next time.